Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of a Stogie for the Road podcast. I am your host, Stogie, a.k.a. Sean, and I'm happy to be here, as usual. Always happy to be here. Today, we are going to delve into a lot of unique topics. We have a lot of stuff that's happened throughout the past week that has had me really kind of contemplating my reality. Where do we go from here? I'm sure a lot of you guys do that if you're anywhere close to my age bracket, which is creeping up on 50 here in December, and just sitting there thinking about your mortality and where you've been and where you've gone and what you've gone through and how you got there in so many different ways. And then the things that you did in the past and how they've rang into the future and where you live now is as far as your life and how it is, you know, whether it's relationships with people, ex-wives, ex-husbands, ex-family members, so on and so forth. What part did you play in it? And we think about all that stuff. And then we get into Facebook or any of our social media platforms, and this new thing now that we have AI and its profound abilities to create video that is so lifelike that absolutely in a POV fashion can take us back to a simpler time. You know, and it's just got me kind of on my heels a little bit. I feel like I had an epiphany. I had a aha moment. But the aha moment doesn't have the answers that I was actually hoping for. You know, I could swear that Facebook has become this world's largest retirement home. Every other post is remember this or remember that, and kids today will never know, you know. And when I was in trucking, my God, the endless, well, back in the day when I was trucking, that's the good old days. It ain't same as it used to be, and blah, 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 blah. I've talked about this before. You know, kids today will never know. Yeah. Hell, according to Facebook, I should be sitting on my front porch drinking Ensure while yelling at the clouds. It's got me feeling like that old timer that I used to ride by on my skateboard and shoot the bird and laugh at. Like I said, those AI videos. Kid riding a BMX. Pizza Hut with those red plastic cups. Duran Duran playing in the background. The comments kill me because people are like, take me back. Really? Take you back to what? Lead paint? Seatbelts that were basically just a suggestion? The smoking section in the hospitals or in Kmart. I remember being a little kid and knocking over one of those ashtrays that had all the sand and cigarette butts in it. Dad was pissed. I laugh at this stuff because I'm one of those idiots. I binge watch those videos sometimes and think, man, life was so much simpler back then. Then my Wi-Fi goes out for 7 minutes and I lose my shit. I'm ready to burn the Comcast to the ground, and I realize apparently I don't miss the past that much. I don't miss the 3 channels as much as I thought I did. I don't miss the having to memorize every single phone number of everybody I've ever met, and the folding paper mats, and when you want to go on vacation. And what do I miss the most? What pulls at the center of my chest so much when I see those videos? I don't know. I go on Facebook and the big talk around here is everybody yelling about the flock cameras. The government's watching us. Dude, buddy, my guy, you checked in at Applebee's and posted 12 pictures 2 hours ago. You tagged your wife, you tagged your dog, your waitress, and you gave the bathroom 4 stars all on your little handy-dandy iPhone. They don't have to spy on you. You wrote your own itinerary/documentary to your day, and it's sitting in the internet forever. So I thought about that, and I started wondering, and what I'm actually asking to go back to is not that all that stuff that was there. I started asking myself, do we miss the past? No, that's too on the nose. Do we go back? Okay, go back where? Well, that question's funny. At least to me. Where do I go back to? What chapter of my life do I go back to? Do I go back to the second and third grade when the highlight of my year was the toys I got for Christmas? I don't know. So all that got me thinking. What exactly am I asking to go back to? What am I actually asking to go back to? And where? What? It stopped me dead in my tracks. I was out walking my dog, and I'm just thinking, I don't know. Back to waiting all week for my favorite TV show because I missed it? You just missed it. Okay. Moving on. Back to having one phone in the kitchen and a 30-foot cord so your entire family knew who you were talking to and what you were talking about. Back to trying to fold the road map, like I said earlier. I don't think I've ever folded one of those correctly, by the way. That guy that invented that road map must be laughing at us all pretty hard. No, I don't think I actually miss that stuff. Matter of fact, if somebody took my phone away for 24 hours, I'd probably start twitching. I use this thing for everything. So what is it? Because I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one out there listening to this podcast, stopping and thinking, do I miss that time and all that went with it? And if I lost all that I had right now, honestly, how well would I fare? Every time one of those remember when videos pops up, it hits me right in the chest, like I said. And then I finally realized while I was out on my walk, maybe it's hitting the wrong nerve. Maybe I don't miss that decade. Maybe I miss the version of me that lived inside of it. I miss walking to the public pool, hearing Tears for Fears and Duran Duran coming through those old blown out speakers by the pool. I miss thinking that a spelling test was the biggest problem I've had all week. I miss riding my bike until the streetlights came on. I miss when summer felt like it lasted forever. Not because the world was perfect. God, it wasn't perfect at all. My parents fought each other, beat the ever-living daylights out of me. I got embarrassed nonstop. I got picked on. I vividly remember being sad a lot of the times as a kid. But I was sad about kid stuff. Today, I'm sad about grown-up stuff. Bills, health, watching the people I love get older, finding out people I knew very closely died. Realizing that over half of my life is now in the rearview mirror. Maybe that's what nostalgia really is. Not wishing you could go back, but wishing you could feel the way you used to feel. Maybe when I was 12, I didn't know that those were the good old days. I didn't know that that period of my life was the good old days. I thought it was the shit I couldn't wait to get over with until I was big and grown so I can move on to the next chapter and the next and the next. I remember daydreaming about a car that I wanted. And then when I got the car, I started daydreaming about what I wanted to do to it. When in actuality, all I did was wreck it. But yeah, maybe that's what nostalgia really is. Not wishing you could go back, but wishing you could feel the way you used to feel. Back then, I didn't think those good old days was just the greatest time and most carefree time. I thought it was just a Tuesday. Nobody tells you, hey, Sean, pay attention. You're going to miss this. Life doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't. It just quietly slips behind you. One summer becomes the last summer you ride your bike every day. And then the bike just goes in the trash, and then you turn 45, 50 years old and like, man, I wish I had that bike back just so I could look at it one more time. One Christmas becomes the last Christmas where everybody's still sitting around the same table. One afternoon at the public pool becomes the last afternoon before everybody grows up and moves away, or life simply gets in the way. And you don't know it. You never know it. Not while you're living it. You only recognize it. Sadly, you only recognize it in the rearview mirror. That's what messes with me. Because if I couldn't recognize the good old days then, while I was standing in them, what makes me think I can recognize them now? Maybe 20 years from today, I'm going to look back at this exact moment where I'm sitting here in my podcast studio, looking out at these beautiful trees in Washington State, and miss them. This is an ordinary Saturday. This is an ordinary cup of coffee in front of me. Whether it's the drive to work or this conversation we're having right now, and think, damn, those were the good old days. But today it just feels ordinary. Maybe that's our biggest blind spot. Our biggest blind spot is this right here, not seeing it in this moment. We're experts at appreciating life after it becomes a memory. We're terrible at appreciating it while it's happening. And man, I am flat out as guilty as anybody. I'm always chasing the next thing. Always. The next paycheck, the next weekend, the next vacation, the next goal, thinking, oh, when I finally get there, I'll slow down. But what if this right here is the part I'm going to wish I had back? And that thought right there is what's haunting me. Because maybe the question isn't, how do we get back? Maybe the better question is, how do we wake up? How do we wake up before today becomes another memory we're begging to return to? Y'all, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm not here to solve this contradiction in any way. I'm just here to name it. Because maybe the good old days aren't behind us. Maybe we're standing in them. Maybe we don't know it yet. And that sounds nice. It sounds like something you'd see printed over a picture of a sunset in a lobby somewhere. For fuck's sakes, let's be honest. That doesn't make it any easier. Because life doesn't always feel precious while you're living it. Sometimes it feels like traffic, pressure, weight. Sometimes life feels like laundry, bills, people needing something from you. A fucking phone that won't stop ringing. A relationship that's complicated. Kids bickering and fighting in the other room, or grown-ass kids bickering and fighting over the phone. A job that you hate. And in my case, a body that makes a new sound every time I stand up. It's so hard to recognize the good old days. When one of the good old days is currently asking you to take the garbage out. Or to call the doctor and schedule another appointment. That's the part nobody puts in inspirational quotes, and they're not gonna. It just doesn't sell. Nobody says treasure this moment, even though you're pissed off. Your back hurts. And somebody just used the last roll of freaking toilet paper. But that's real life, and everybody deals with that, but nobody says it. The moments we miss later usually weren't perfect when they were happening. They were ordinary. They were inconvenient. And fuck, sometimes they were just painful. We just remember them differently. Time is one hell of an editor, guys. It cuts out the traffic. It lowers the volume on the arguments. It softens the embarrassment. It removes the waiting. It leaves us with the music, the smell, the people, the feeling. Time takes an entire decade and cuts it down to a 3-minute highlight reel and adds a Phil Collins song to wrap it all up with a nice bow. And suddenly we're crying our eyes out in a Costco parking lot. That's nostalgia. It's the life after the boring parts have been edited out. And maybe that's why the past always looks better. The past doesn't ask anything from you anymore. It doesn't need your money. It doesn't interrupt your plans. It doesn't disappoint you tomorrow. It's finished. It's safe. You can visit it without having to live with the consequences. Oh, but the present, that's different. The present still makes demands of you. The present can still hurt you. The present can still go wrong. And maybe that's why it's easier to love life in reverse. Because once something is gone, there's nothing left to fear from it. You only just get to miss it. That's a strange thing, isn't it? We spend our lives wanting freedom from all these responsibilities and eventually become the memories we'd give anything to relive. The noisy house with my kids just going at it. My kids needing a ride. Pick them up from football practice or from school. My mom calling me to see how I'm doing and if I'm behaving myself. My old dog Curly just barking at nothing in the backyard. The family dinners that never really went the way I imagined them. And those god-awful work days that seemed endless. Oh, let's not forget the people who got on your nerves until one day they weren't there to get on your nerves anymore. And then you'd give anything for one more interruption, one more god-awful pointless story, one more phone call you were too busy to answer. It doesn't mean we should feel guilty every time we get irritated. I hate that kind of advice. Enjoy every second. No, the seconds, some of them suck. Some days are awful. Some chapters of life deserve to absolutely end. You don't have to romanticize pain just because one day it'll be in the past. That's not wisdom. That's just denial with a fucking decorative pillow. It's nonsense. But maybe there's a difference between enjoying every moment and just noticing that you're in one. Maybe gratitude isn't walking around pretending everything is beautiful. Maybe it's just catching yourself once in a while, taking it all in and enjoying it before life moves on without asking permission, like it's always does. Maybe it's looking around the room and thinking, this is going to change. Not in some depressing way, just honestly, it's going to change. These people won't always be this age. My little babies will grow up and tell me they don't want to talk to me anymore, or tell me they got in trouble. I don't know. Realizing my kids will not always be that age, I remember thinking that. And I thought about it so much, I didn't realize that neither will I. My home will not always sound like this. Little Bonnie over there won't always be asleep on the couch. My beautiful little doggy. My parents won't always answer the phone. I realized that way too early with my mom dying. My kids won't always need me in the same way. I'm getting that in droves. My friends and I won't always be able to say let's get together next month, because eventually one of those next months won't come. And I know that really sounds heavy. I usually try to keep these podcasts kind of lighthearted, but buried another friend recently, trucker buddy over Facebook. I saw that yesterday. Yeah, I know it sounds heavy. But maybe heavy isn't always bad. Maybe some things are supposed to have that weight to it. Maybe we spent so much time trying to make life comfortable that we forgot comfort isn't the same thing as meaning. Because the things that mean the most usually come with a price. Loving people and meeting people sometimes means eventually losing people. Raising children means watching them leave. Building a life means knowing you can't keep it forever. Getting older means carrying every version of yourself while slowly becoming someone none of those younger versions would recognize. And that's the deal. Nobody reads the fine print, but that's definitely the deal. And maybe that's what's bothering me today and over the past few days. I look at old pictures in my memories and I recognize that face, that it doesn't belong to me anymore. But I don't always recognize the person. I know that was me, but I can't fully remember what it felt to be like him sometimes. What did he worry about? What did he believe? I kind of remember what I would think my life would become, and it's become exactly opposite. Would he be proud of me and the man I am today? Would he understand me? Would the old Sean look at me and say, "Man, you got old"? Probably, little bastard. But he'd also be pretty surprised. I think what he would be the most surprised at is when he realized all that I've survived throughout the years. By who stayed and by who left. By what mattered. And what turned out to not matter at all. That's a big one, I've realized. Shit that used to fucking completely consume me absolutely seems so inconsequential now. Maybe that's another reason we miss the past. We miss the certainty that we had before life proved us wrong. You remember that when we were younger, we all thought adulthood was a destination. You grow up, you figure it out, you become confident, you understand relationships, you understand money, you understand yourself, and then you get here and realize, for the most part, everybody's just fucking guessing. Our adults we're just children with passwords now. Back pain and access to credit. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Some people just own nicer shit while they're doing it. And that's frankly pretty comforting in a strange way. Because maybe feeling lost doesn't mean you failed. Maybe it means you're paying attention. Maybe the people who claim to have life completely figured out are either selling something, starting some bullshit cult, or recording a podcast in a fancy blue suit. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to sit here and grandstand and tell you, here are the 5 steps towards appreciating your life. I don't fucking know. That's not my job. That's not why I'm doing this. If anything, I'm just asking you questions. I can barely keep track of my keys and where my remote is half the time. So what the hell do I know? All my dumbass knows is something feels different now. These years seem shorter. Some memories seem louder, and some are starting to get kind of fuzzy. The people I love seem more temporary. And I catch myself looking backward, not because everything was better back then, but because everything was still ahead of me. I had more ahead of me than I had behind me. That may be what youth really is. It's not perfect skin. It's definitely not energy. It's not staying out until 4 a.m. without needing 3 business days to recover. Youth is a feeling that there will always be more time, more summers, more Christmases, more phone calls, more chances, more opportunities to say what you meant to say. Then, somewhere along the way, time stops feeling endless and you start counting differently. You stop saying one day, and you start wondering how many more. And the dreaded, well, maybe in another life. How many more summers with my parents or my friends? How many more Christmas mornings with the whole family? How many more healthy years before it's uncomfortable conversations with a doctor? How many more times will I sit across from this person and have no idea that one day I'll give anything to be back in this chair? That can either scare the hell out of you or maybe it can wake you up. I don't know. Not permanently, though. Let's not get fucking stupid. I'll probably finish recording this, walk downstairs, and get irritated about something stupid and forget everything I just said. That's human nature. We have a profound realization, then somebody drives 10 miles under the speed limit, and suddenly we're willing to risk prison time to get around them. But maybe waking up doesn't have to last forever. Maybe it only has to happen often enough to change the way we remember our own life. Maybe once today, you put the phone down. Maybe once today, you listen to the story you've already heard 100 times. Maybe you take that picture that you wish you took and never did. But then you stop looking at the picture and look at the actual people that are in front of you. Do I save this memory in my phone? Or do I save this memory in my heart and my mind? Maybe you make that call. Maybe you forgive somebody. Maybe you don't. Some people are just assholes. And you are well within your rights to be done with them. This isn't magic, folks. But maybe you noticed that's all we can really do. Notice the music before the song ends. Notice the room before everybody goes home. Notice the version of yourself who is here right now before he becomes somebody you only recognize in photographs. Because someday, that person you are right now may be the person you miss the most. Someday, if I'm lucky enough, I'll miss, man, God, I remember when I was just 50 years old, that youngster. And that's the contradiction I just can't solve and probably never will. We're always becoming somebody new while quietly losing somebody we used to be. Every single day gives us something. Every single day it takes something away. We gain wisdom and we lose innocence. We gain experience. We lose time. We gain people. People pass away. We build a life while watching it disappear behind us. Maybe that's why it all feels different now, but somehow the same. Maybe that feeling that's haunting you isn't proof that something is wrong. Maybe it's proof that you're alive long enough to notice time moving through you. Maybe the question isn't, how do I stop missing the past? Or maybe it's, how do I make peace with the fact that one day I'm going to miss this too? You know, I don't think this episode was ever about the 80s or the 90s. I don't think they were about flock cameras or Facebook. I think it's about something we've all been quietly lugging around and nobody ever taught us how to talk about it. It's about time. Not the kind on your watch. The kind you can never get back. You know what scares me? It's not getting old. Hell, getting old beats the alternative. What scares me is realizing how many moments I've already lived without realizing that they mattered. How many ordinary Tuesdays turned into memories. How many hugs ended up being the last one. How many conversations I thought I'd get to have again. I don't think life breaks your heart all at once. I think it steals little pieces from you slowly that you don't even notice until they're gone, until one random Tuesday you're sitting in your truck and a song comes on. And for 3 minutes you're 17 again. Or you can smell the chlorine in the pool. You can hear that screen door slam one more time. Or you can remember the sound of your mom calling you in for dinner. You remember your dad before his hair turned gray. You remember your friends you haven't thought about in 20 years. And then the song ends, and now you're back in traffic, and you realize none of those places still exist anymore. Most of those people aren't the same anymore, or they're not here anymore. As for the same, neither are you. Maybe that's why nostalgia hurts so bad. Because it's love with nowhere to go. You're trying to hug a memory. Memories don't hug back. So maybe, and I'm saying a big maybe, we've been asking the wrong question this whole time. Maybe the question isn't, how do I get back to the good old days? Well, you can't. And honestly, you shouldn't. Those days did their job on you. They made you. They molded you. The better question is, what am I living through today that one day I'll be begging for one more chance to experience? Shit, maybe it's this cup of coffee right here. Maybe it's the chaos in the house. Maybe it's your kids asking to play with you. Right around the time you're trying to answer that one more work email, Maybe it's your spouse telling you about a day that you were only half listening to. Maybe it's your parents calling and you thinking, I'll call them tomorrow. I remember doing that with my mom. Well, maybe tomorrow is there. Maybe tomorrow isn't. None of us get to know that. That's what makes today so valuable. Not because it's perfect, and damn sure not because it's easy, but because it's alive, and so are we. You know, I started this conversation today thinking I miss the past, and I don't think that's true anymore. I think what I really miss is how blissfully unaware I was that I was standing in the middle of the one life that I get. That I was standing in the middle of a life that I would miss someday. And maybe that's the gift. Maybe that's why nostalgia exists at all. Not to torture us, but to tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, dumbass, don't miss this one too. Anyway, that's what's been rattling around in my old noggin. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you've been yelling at the radio this whole time, yelling at me. I kind of hope you have, because I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm not here to solve any of these contradictions of life. I'm just here to name it. And maybe the next time life feels painfully ordinary to you, you'll stop and look around for a second and wonder, could these be the good old days? Before I know that they're gone. If that question follows you home tonight, well, then this little cigar was worth lighting. Folks, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I got to spend some time with you today. I hope this finds you well, happy, healthy, loving and living life. And we'll see you next time. See ya!